You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you'll never know what she'll do next.
Yay! How are you hear me now? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you well, Tracy.
I want to introduce Alan Rose. Alan, do you want to go ahead and tell everybody how we met? Do you remember even?
Yeah, sure. I think it was my birthday this last June, a couple of months ago at Crazy Uncle Mike's. I had hired the Purple Rain Experience to come in and play for about 150 of us. It was a great
It was
party.
amazing. I'm going to tell you, Alan, I just happened to walk in and everybody was so nice. I didn't know what was going on. I just was going to meet a girlfriend there. And then I saw, like Rick Sykes, Michelle Kaplan from Love and Spiritual Healing, Fern from Pilates. And I mean, it was just amazing. I saw so many of my friends there and I'm like, well, who is this guy? How come I don't know him? How come all my friends know him and I don't know him? And you were so famous there, obviously, as everyone can see from the picture I put up on Facebook of you. Did you see that at your party?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it famous, but I've got an excellent reputation in the Boca Raton area for philanthropy.
Yeah. Well, tell me how that got started.
Well, I was lucky enough to experience success over the years, and I became involved with philanthropy through my big company. 30-some years ago.
What company was it?
I owned Rose Paving. It was a national pavement rehab and reconstruction for big box stores mainly.
Okay.
Throughout all 50 states.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, tell me, let's backtrack here. I know that's how you ended up, but how did you get started? Where did you grow up?
Fortunately, suburbs of Illinois, Chicago. And my dad was, back then, he had a cement company, and I was very fortunate to be born into the right family, I call it.
Okay.
My father, before he was 30 years old, employed 150 people. So he was already quite the entrepreneur, and I learned a lot over the years. And working.
This is the company that brought you to where you are now?
And mentoring. I didn't get involved with my dad's company. My oldest brother started a company when he was in high school in 1969. And I was still getting out of the elementary school ages. And once my brother went to college, I was 16. No, actually, I was a little younger. But anyway, I started working for him when I was 13 years old. And then by the time I was 16, I was running a small line striping crew just in a 90-mile radius from downtown Chicago.
No, wait, what's a line striping crew? You got to explain that.
Painting yellow and white lines on parking lots.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought. That's what it sounds like.
Doing. And then as I got into college, I hired a few folks, and I started to get opportunity to do coatings on parking lots. So I got a note from my brother, a $30,000 note. He co-signed so I could buy a little equipment. And then I started in that business. They call it seal coating.
Okay.
And then right after college in 1980, I got into the asphalt and concrete business in a small way. And then by year 2000, it had grown to all 50 states. So in a 20-year span, I went from like 15 employees to a couple hundred employees.
Now, what do you attribute that growth to? So such quick growth.
I've always been kind of sales and marketing orientated. And so I call it put lipstick on a pig. I took a non-sexy business and I made it sexy, and we had a lot of, good procedures, policies that help us grow. And I hired a lot of good people and even gave some ownership to a few superstars that really ended up doing a lot of the heavy lifting as the company grew.
Is it still around? Is that company still around?
Yeah, it's gotten quite large. It's been bought and sold twice now, and they by far and away are the largest privately owned paving company in the United States.
That's amazing. Now, so I met you here in Boca Raton, Florida. What brought you here?
Well, I always enjoyed boating, and after selling the paving business in 2015, I had already had a place that I owned in Delray on the water, but I only visited 3 months out of the year. So after living here full time for 4 years, I bought my dream home where I'm at now on the water at the Sanctuary Gate.
Beautiful location.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful location. Now, listen, I heard you have a tagline. I just want you to, do you know what tagline I'm talking about?
Yeah, we do it right the first time. That was
I want to hear about that because I think that's
motto.
So how did you come up with that?
A lot of the competitors back in the day, they would say they're going to show up with a crew and they'll be there at 7 a.m. and then they would do shoddy work. And, my philosophy to carry my leadership to my employees was we have to do it right the first time,
right?
Which means a lot of things. It means showing up on time. It means providing the customer service and deliver and under promise and, all those things that come with being successful.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing lesson that you can teach. Do you ever do any teaching or do you have any teach people how to do things?
As my company got larger in the early 2000s, I was co-champion of our training department with our head of HR. So I would travel around the country and train some of our employees along with our alliance groups. We had several paving companies that would do work for us in 50 states. I couldn't have troops on all the and warehouses and iron and trucks in all 50 states. I would have went broke. Right. So I had a lot of what you call alliance groups, kind of like McDonald's does with its franchisees, but I called it the alliance group, and they did a lot of our work. Probably 70% of our work was done through alliance partners.
Wow, that's amazing.
We would train those folks on doing it the right way, doing it the Rose way.
All right, I like that.
And it worked out.
I didn't put this together till just now, but my youngest daughter's middle name is Rose, Alexis Rose. Yeah. But anyway, so I understand also that you were a wrestler, a big wrestler in college. Is that true? Or was it just?
Well, college was more of a intramural. I wrestled with the team, but I didn't actually participate. Is Division I, would have been tough. I would have devoted 4 hours a day, and I didn't want to commit that kind of time. So I never became that proficient in college, although I was a good high school wrestler, and we went downstate and we took state. And, in college, it was more it was more of a hobby that I would exercise with the team and do some matches. And it was undefeated in my intramural of freshman through senior year. I took first every year in the intramural realm.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's amazing.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have ever been quite good enough to start at Arizona State. It was one of the top wrestling schools when I went there, so it would have been difficult.
Well, now, what drew you to wrestling? What was it about that sport that you liked?
Well, I always had a natural strength and ability to outmaneuver or overpower a lot of the fellas in my weight class. So I was good at it. That drew it. That was easy enough for me to go into the wrestling because, quite honestly, I only lost a couple matches by the time I was 17 years old. So I was just, I was good at it, and it made me feel great to excel in a sport.
Now, of your family unit, were you the oldest? Were you the only child?
I was the youngest.
Of how many kids?
3 of us.
With your same two parents?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a blessing. That's a total blessing. Are either one of them still alive right now?
No, my father just passed at 94 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good long life. That's amazing. Well, now, so you say you graduated from Arizona State?
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm wondering, what have you learned from your extensive background that you could share with our viewers? What can to help them achieve the kind of success that you've achieved?
Well, first off, you would want to be self-employed. You always want to have enough capital to be able to invest in your company.
Yeah.
A lot of companies start out and they don't have the capital, so they can't invest, they can't grow, and they fail.
Exactly. Gosh,
So I
that's the
kept my
same lesson
overhead.
my dad taught me. That's the same lesson my dad taught me.
Right. I kept my overhead quite low until I could afford to grow into, a bigger facility. Would do a lot of the work that I ended up hiring folks to do. Everything I used to do in the 80s was all hired out by the 90s. By then I was just managing processes. That's what I was doing. Sure, I'd do an occasional sales call with one of my salespeople, and I would go to a job site to bring the Gatorade and the donuts to the crew, pat them on the back, great job. I did some PR stuff. But for the most part, as I got larger and did a lot of marketing back then, we didn't have computers, we didn't have social media. It was all snail mail and handshaking, door knocking, a lot of telemarketing. So we did that. I had full-time telemarketer work for me in the 80s.
I used to do telemarketing for my family business. I used to do that. That's a tough job.
Yeah, it is. Very much. So that just took those baby steps, and luckily each year we grew. And being in business, as I became a junior partner when I was in high school, we called it. We started in 1974, and so by 1990, I'd been in business 14 years, and I started becoming fairly well known in my marketplace.
Right.
And then, lucky enough, was able to become a board member of the National Pavement Maintenance Association. And that gave me national exposure. So by 1995, I had Walmart from Bentonville, Arkansas, calling my company to do work in all 3 states, Illinois and Indiana, and I believe it was Wisconsin, and they wanted me to do all their parking lot work.
That's
and
amazing.
Obviously Walmart had a lot of parking lots. So, we started doing multiple states, and I remember Pep Boys ended up having us do all their states by year 2000. We were doing on the East Coast by 1997, and then we started doing the whole country by 2000, and then it just grew from there. I hired a phenomenal chief operating officer to take over my position in the early 2000s, and then by 2007 I hired a president, and he ran a large $500 million company back then. And so he took me from C to D to E, and I really let go of the reins by probably 2005. I even gave him my corner office. I took a small office, and I saw the company grow and thrive without my involvement. Really.
Probably you were getting exhausted, weren't you?
Well, no. I mean, I sold the company, in my 50s, so. I'm in my 60s now, and I still have a lot of energy. I still am very active.
What time was this in your life? So you're in your 60s now.
Yeah.
What age were you at this time?
What do I do at this time?
Right now, this is going on right now.
Well, I don't do anything with the construction business. I sold out of that altogether 9 years ago. And then I had another distribution company that became quite large. That I sold out in 2019, and now I'm a real estate investor, and I own 425 apartment units in Southeast Florida here, and I have about 14 employees that run that, and I have some industrial properties sprinkled throughout the U.S. And I have 4 or 5 employees that run that, and that's about it. And so I'm I've really downsized a lot in the last 9 years.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen my show, Alan, but at the end we have a real estate minute, and I got a little lowdown that you're a real estate investor, so you're going to be our source of knowledge for the real estate minute at the end.
Cool.
Okay, but I still want to find out more about you right now about, like what was the best experience you ever had through all this growth, this immense, massive growth you went through.
Well,
what was the worst thing that ever happened? What would you, looking back?
Yeah, the best experience would have been seeing the company thrive and grow.
Sure.
And I never could have imagined in the 80s that I would have been able to sell it for the kind of money I ended up selling it for in 2015. So that was a phenomenal year in my life, knowing that I was going to become financially independent, and basically not have to work very hard the rest of my life. So that was the greatest thing ever happened to me in business. Probably the worst time in my life, I was inflicted with asthma. It's a syndrome, and it was pretty severe, and I had to spend 9 months in a rehabilitation hospital when I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Being institutionalized at 11 years old and having an 18-year-old roommate that was a Blackstone Ranger, gangster. He was very nice, luckily. But, it was traumatic for a young kid.
Wow, I bet it was. That's amazing. So from that experience, what would you say that you learned? I guess that's your motto, right?
From being ill like that, I could have ended up being in the gutter by the time I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Or I could fight and really overcome this illness, which is what I decided to do.
How long did it take you to get over it?
Well, I never got over it. I still have some remnants today, but I want to say I outgrew enough of it to become a good athlete by the time I was 14 years old.
Okay, that's great. And so what kind of an athlete was that? A wrestler?
Yeah, I wrestled, and I was also in the track and field up until I was 18 years old too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so now you live a life of leisure. What is your favorite thing to do on a sunny day?
Well, I wouldn't call it all leisure, but my favorite.
Like you earned it. Seems like you've earned to live a life of leisure.
Absolutely. My favorite thing to do is boating. I have a 50-foot motor sail yacht that I enjoy taking out. And I have a party barge behind my house at my 90-foot dock that I love to entertain as well. And yesterday, for example, I rented out a boat and had 20 friends, and we went, some of us went scuba diving, but most of us went snorkeling.
That sounds
so I did that yesterday. So water is something that I very, very much enjoy.
What's your birth sign? What's your birth sign?
Oh, Cancer.
I'm asking you because I'm a Cancer, and we are water signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you. When's your birthday?
June 24th.
Okay, I'm July 21st. It's cool. I've got daughters June 22nd and June 25th, my two youngest.
Neat.
But anyway, okay, so what's your favorite thing to do on a rainy day? Is it also, do you like to boat on a rainy day?
Not necessarily, no. Well, I exercise, so I love to exercise, a couple hours most mornings. Always enjoy having lunch with friends. You can do that on a rainy day.
Yeah.
Catch up on some pre-recorded sports or watch a good movie on a rainy day.
Right. Okay. So at this point in your life, what is your number one goal and what is your main focus?
Well, my number one goal is to remain financially independent, invest properly, which I work at. And I really want to do good and give back to things that are near and dear to my heart, such as the Boca Police Foundation, which I'm lucky enough to be co-chairman. I got a big event coming up this September 27th at the Broken Sound Country Club. I'm excited to have Sister Sledge hired, thanks to Daniel Hartwell. And he was very instrumental in getting them to perform for us. And we're in the midst of a ticket sale drive right now. we're hoping to sell 400 tickets. We got about half of them sold, but we got a lot more work in the next 4.5 weeks to do to get those done. But it'll be a great disco party. Phenomenal event last year, but this should be just above the clouds. It'll be an awesome event. So I hope many of the viewers decide to buy tickets.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
For United in Blue.
Now I'm wondering, so what brought you to work with the different groups that you work with, like the police? What was it that drew you to working with the police?
Well, having a lot of employees back in the 90s and having a few bad experiences with disgruntled employees. We had to call the police, unfortunately, a few times to our corporate headquarters. So that got me involved with our local police in Illinois. I gave money, I wrote checks out to them, and I ended up just really enjoying meeting a lot of the officers, and it became a passion of mine.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, what is it about the Humane Society that called you to make that your
Well, my dog just turned 16 yesterday, Ginger, and I've always liked the dogs, and I have a lot of friends that have dogs, and I just think it's a great thing to help the animals because they can't speak for themselves, and a lot of these shelters need money, especially the no-kill shelters, and so I like helping the animals.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, what is something that nobody knows about you?
Oh gosh, I'm an open book, so I've got a lot of passion, and I'm very driven. When I decide to do something, I do it 110%. Maybe a lot of people don't know that about me.
Right. Okay, so how can we help you to achieve what you're working toward right now?
Well, I'd love for people to go on the website, my philanthropy site, alanjrose.com.
And I've got it right there in the corner. You can probably see it.
Yeah, if they could go on the website. Adults can find events to attend, and teenagers could go to the volunteer button and find community service hours needed for their high school or what have you.
That's awesome. Okay, let's turn this around now. Make it a little funny. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened in your endeavors to raise, funds for these communities or these groups?
Oh gosh.
I'm sure you've had some funny things happen or sexy things. You mentioned that paving wasn't so sexy. Maybe
no,
your life
not at
a
all.
lot more sexy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great to in participating. I have pool parties at a couple of large communities that I own, and one of the attendees was pushed in the pool with their clothes on by someone that had maybe one too many cocktails, and I thought that was pretty funny.
That does sound pretty funny. Okay, so what's your favorite part about fundraising?
Just the part about making it happen, collecting the dollars for a good cause. I enjoy not only giving myself, but having friends and acquaintances give money to the passion that I have to raise funds for my charities.
Yeah, I know you. I've heard that you're a businessman. You've built and sold multiple companies. What are some other companies that you sold?
Well, I had Rose Pallet that I had started. At the time, I thought I was going to be selling the paving business 5 years prior. So I started that company, and it also did quite well. It became in all 50 states in just 10 years of starting the company. So that was very lucrative and a lot of work, but I enjoyed building that as well. So that was the second company, and I other than my real estate, Rose Properties, I mean, I've built that. as I said, as I moved to Florida, I had 0 apartment units in Florida in 2015. Now I got 425 in 2 communities.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
So that's
how many years did you get? 425 properties? How many years?
Not 425 properties.
Oh,
I have 425 apartment units.
okay.
So, yeah.
So that's still pretty amazing.
Yeah. In the 9 years, I just I purchased my first complex where 800 people live, a 34-acre plot of land and 20 buildings in January 2017.
Oh my goodness.
And I just purchased this year, that was called Coquina Cove Luxury Apartments. And I just purchased Serenity Stewart. Yeah, there's Serenity.
There it is.
I've got 4 of those buildings and 172 units there. And we're going to have our phenomenal open house fundraiser on Friday, November 15th at the Serenity Stewart.
Oh, you have to let me know when that is so that I can be sure to get you some exposure for that as well.
Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Well, I heard I looked up Serenity Stewart a little bit. I found out that the plan started like $1,815. Does that sound? Because that's
sounds
really
about right for a 1-bedroom. Yeah,
that's really affordable. I've just gotten finished looking around for places. I just moved. So that's a really great price because I know it says it has exclusive amenities, includes a spacious clubhouse, pool, deck area, state-of-the-art fitness center, resident lounge, business center, pickleball court, community pavilion, grills, more. I was like, whoa, I'm sold. I'm moving.
Thank you.
And I just moved.
Brand new construction. It's spanking new. They just finished it in November of 23, the construction.
Wow, that's got to be beautiful in Stewart, Florida, everybody. So you have my information, you have Alan's information. You can give us a call and we can get you, great apartment there. If you were, what's your occupancy? Do you know?
We're right about 63% today.
Okay.
We're doing a lease up still and offering specials. So be a great time to move there if you're looking for, apartment community.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so excited to know that. We have so much in common. I didn't even realize, when I met you at the party and everybody, you had this huge party and I was like, who is this guy? I've got to talk to him, because all the people were so nice and inviting to me and my girlfriend. They said, well, let's just put a wristband badge on you and you can go right on in. And really, it was such a wonderful time. Thank you so much for everything that you do, and I'm looking forward to working with you more and getting to know you more. I'm really pleased.
Likewise, Tracy, I appreciate it.
Is there anything more that you want to share while we're here today?
We've got, as I said, the September 27th, United in Blue. We got that event coming up. And then I have another event for the Animal Humane Society Treasure Coast at Coquina Cove in Palm City. That's October 25th. And then I have this party we just mentioned. We're still picking the charity, but there'll be an event on November 15th. We got a phenomenal band, a Grammy Award nominee, Mojo and the Bio Gypsies playing. He's bringing his band out. I'm personal friends with him, and he just got voted in the Louisiana Hall of Fame for Zydeco music. So,
wow, I'm excited. I got to put all this stuff on my calendar.
Yeah, he's quite the entertainer. He usually plays for 3,000 to 6,000 people, local university, college auditoriums, and large outdoor venues. And since I'm good friends with him for 30 years, he's doing me a favor to swing down here and play for us at Serenity Stewart.
I was so impressed with the Prince act at your birthday party. Is that another friend of yours?
They were awesome. They're Vegas style, and
wow,
they're one of the best Prince cover bands in the nation, I think.
Yeah. So, well, everyone, please subscribe, like the Being Tracy Show on YouTube. This is going to help us on YouTube so more people get in the algorithm and see our message today. And if you see it on Facebook, give us a like there too, please. And is there anything more that you want to share, Alan?
Hey, just everybody have fun in life. It's too short not to.
Exactly. I totally agree. Let's reiterate what your motto is, Alan. What was that again?
Do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time. Thanks, guys. It's been wonderful talking to y'all today. And message me down below and let me know what you think. If you have any questions for Alan, I would love to get you an answer. Okay. Bye, guys. Love you guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks for coming.
You bet. Bye.
You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy. She's funny. She's honest. And you'll never know what she'll do next.